One of these is better than the other two, and you may not agree with me. Foldable smartphones are really interesting because one, they're still very expensive, and two, they're still quite hard to justify for that reason because they're expensive, and also you have to have a real reason to spend all that money and keep doing that. The other reason they're interesting is because Apple hasn't entered the game yet, and we think they might in 2026. When they do, they have some serious competition from Google, Samsung and Honor. And these are the three foldables I want to cover in this video. I know there's more out there, but these are the three that I've had my hands on the most this year, and I've picked one winner. Okay, let's start with the design because we live in an era of very thin smartphones. The Motorola Edge 70, the iPhone Air, the Samsung Galaxy Edge, and whatever you think about thin phones doesn't really matter because the brands, the manufacturers are going for it, and they have gone for it with two of these on the table in front of me, and it's the battle of, let's not beat around the bush, the Honor Magic V5 versus the Samsung Galaxy Z, and we do say Z in this country, Z Fold 7. If I had to pick one of the two, it would be the Z Fold 7 because it just feels and looks thinner and lighter. But it doesn't matter, they're all thin. The Honor Magic V5 is a beautiful looking phone. It has this massive camera bump up here, which is quite handy for resting your index finger on, so you can use it one-handed and do that. The only slight problem with that is that it does make it a little bit top heavy, so if you are using it one-handed, it just feels a little bit out of balance, whereas these two don't. One thing that does solve pretty much is the table wobble or the lack of it, so when you put it on the surface like that, it doesn't wobble too much, whereas the Z Fold 7 wobbles a lot because we've got the camera bump over there, and I'm spending time on this because I know it bothers people. Pixel is better when you put it on a flat surface folded because it doesn't wobble. Good stuff. However, in terms of the overall look and design and the feel of these things, it's the Z Fold 7. Samsung made so many changes to this phone over the Fold 6 and the Fold 5. Those phones were so narrow. They were so, for me, unusable when folded. They made such a big change. And for that reason, when it comes to design, the Z Fold 7 wins because it's just a massive effort from Samsung. Google haven't changed the Pixel 10 Pro Fold much at all. It's pretty much the same looking phone as the 9. But that doesn't matter because I still think it looks fantastic, and me sitting here saying that it doesn't look the same and that they haven't put effort in and all that sort of stuff is unfair because look at it looks great, and most people swap phones every 2 years. So you might be coming from the original Pixel Fold, in which case this is a very big change because it's very different to that first generation. So looks wise, for me, the Z Fold 7 wins. I think screen-wise, they're all pretty much on a par with each other. They're all very usable when folded and have that fantastic internal display when you open them up. But yeah, the Z Fold 7 wins that particular bottle. It's been a long year. The Z Fold 7 wins that particular battle for me. Camera performance is still massively subjective, so what I'm about to say you may not agree with, and what I like you may not like, and vice versa. That's absolutely fine. Just let me know in the comments what you prefer out of these examples from these three phones. They're not side-by-side examples because I've not gone out with all three phones and taken the same photo. They're just examples of photos I've taken while using each of these foldables. For me, the Magic V5 is a solid performer. It does a really good job. The only problem I had with it occasionally was taking photos of my son and my puppy, both of whom do not stand still for more than half a second. That wasn't always the case. It just occasionally struggled, particularly in low light in the kitchen, for instance. Apart from that, though, I love Honor's photography. It just looks lovely. It's got all the hardcore stuff built into it, which is their portrait mode, and I think it's just a very nice camera system. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold, I'm a massive Pixel photography fan. I just love what they do with it. I know they don't make massive changes to their camera systems over each generation, but it doesn't matter because for me, I just like the look of Pixel photography, and the Pixel 10 Pro Fold has a 5x optical zoom, which gets my vote immediately, so all good stuff there. The Z Fold 7, however, has had the biggest camera upgrade out of all three of these because, again, one of the problems with the previous generation Z Fold series was the camera system. So what Samsung did was take the main camera out of the S25 Ultra and put it into the Z Fold 7, and that's a very good thing indeed, and as a result of that, that, it takes lovely photos. The one thing they didn't do is they didn't take the telephoto from the S25 Ultra and put that onto the Z Fold 7. So out of these three, I think the Z Fold 7 has the weakest telephoto, which is a bit of a shame, but hopefully they'll fix that next year. But all three of these take lovely photos. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. I don't do benchmarks, I don't game on my phones, so I don't have any ability to sit here and say, this one is better than that one and that one's better than that one. I just can't do that because I don't have the skill set or the inclination to test these phones to the limits. However, I have used these extensively every day in normal use case scenarios. So, email, messaging people, taking phone calls, taking photos, watching stuff, just doing regular smartphone things, opening them up and doing things on the big screen and what have you. And all three feel the same. So we have Snapdragon, Google Tensor. Now, if you've done any kind of research into the chips in these phones, you may have come across 8,000 Reddit threads about the Google Tensor chip and it not being as good as Snapdragon and all the rest of it. Now, if you do very detailed benchmarking and soak testing and all that stuff, maybe that's the case. I have no idea. I don't care. What I do care about is the fact that in everyday usage, they feel the same. They just do. And I have used Google phones long term and had no problems with them after a year, after 2 years. We've hit a ceiling. It's a really nice problem to have. In fact, it's not even a problem because it just means that whichever one of these that you pick, it's going to work. It's going to feel fantastic. It's going to feel as expensive as it was when you bought it because they are just flagship performers. The operating systems, again, I won't get bogged down in this, but as a very quick guide, if you want the best multitasking experience on a foldable, get the Samsung. If you want the niche experience, get the Honor. And if you want the completely stock Android experience, get the Google. Oh, and stylus support, the only one that has an official stylus thing is the Honor Magic V5. The Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold doesn't have a stylus, although you can possibly get an aftermarket one that will work with it. And Samsung removed the S Pen support from the Z Fold 7, which really annoyed the S Pen Massive, obviously, but I don't care. Right, battery life. This is a very contentious topic once again, and what I'm about to say will not go down well with people who respond to Reddit threads, but I don't care. They feel very similar in everyday life. However, if you are a gamer or someone who really puts their phone to task, if you do very intensive stuff, the Honor Magic V5 will probably win in terms of battery life because it's made from silicon kryptonite and it has the latest battery technology and all that sort of stuff, and it charges quicker than the other two. But if you're not that person, trust me, and I have used these extensively every day for the last few months, they feel the same. They get you past one day, no problem whatsoever, and it's just like performance. You can get really bogged down in this stuff, but we live in a world now where battery tech, even if it isn't the latest battery tech, has come on so far. And not just battery tech, it's to do with the operating systems and how efficient they are. We're very lucky. We get phones like this with 2 screens, one massive display inside, which can still last well over a day in terms of battery life. And I've not had a problem with any of these phones on that front. The Pixel also has something called Pixel Snap, and it's basically a bunch of magnets in the back of the phone, which means you can attach chargers and other stuff to the back of it, a little bit like something else. There is another manufacturer that does that. I can't think who it is, but you can do it on the Pixel. You can't do that on either of these. They don't have magnets, which, does it matter? Not really, but it's just another differentiator for the Pixel. But yeah, battery life, I'll say no more. Right, when it comes to price and value, the Honor Magic V5 is the most affordable out of these three because it's the cheapest when you buy it outright. However, both Samsung and Google offer very good trade-in deals, so you can get the price of these two down nicely, and most people buy these on a monthly carrier subsidy, so it's negligible really. But if you're buying it outright, the Honor Magic V5 is the cheapest. Which one do I prefer out of all three? It's really easy. It's the Z Fold 7. This is one of the best smartphones I've ever used. It's as simple as that. The reason for that is because I think it has the perfect smartphone form factor. You can use it brilliantly one-handed, you can use it two-handed, and You can do that and have a massive display. And Samsung has made so many changes to this. They've really listened. They've completely changed the form factor, the weight, the width of the external display. The camera system is much better. Yes, we need a bit more of a tweak there in terms of the telephoto, but overall it's a huge upgrade over the previous generation, and we do not get such big sweeping changes to smartphones in 2025. So bravo, Samsung. However, all three are fantastic foldables. We have had a very good year for this kind of phone in 2025. It's over to you now though, guys. I want to know which one of these you'd go for and why, and have I left something out which you think should have been in this video? Get involved down below. And if you've been watching this channel for ages but you haven't subscribed, you know what to do.